Hey, ladies and gentlemen, welcome to another episode of the Beyond Seven Figures podcast. Now, I got these cool little bags here. I bought these bags from Sticker Mule. I got these stickers here with my logo on them. I got my stickers from Sticker Mule. But it's not just Sticker Mule that actually stands out, it's how I became a client of Sticker Mule. I actually find them to have one of the most innovative, engaging, awesome marketing techniques out there. So it's with great pleasure that I'm able to introduce to you today the co-founder of Sticker Mule, Anthony Constantino. Killer entrepreneur, started his business on a whim, Sticker Mule, in 2010, and then recently began another company, which we're going to dive into a little bit more, Stimulus. So without further ado, welcome to the show, Anthony Constantino.
Happy to be here.
Yeah, man. Dude, I tell you, when I came across my desk, there was an opportunity for you and I to jump on a podcast together. I jumped right on it because your marketing is really something that's unique and phenomenal. And so, I just really want to jump right in there. You run viral marketing campaigns and they work.
So we try to be fun and different. And, there's a lot of copying going on. Sometimes it makes sense to copy other people, but, if I always tell people, if you want abnormal results, you got to do abnormal things. If you do what everyone else is doing, you're going to end up like everyone else, and everyone else sums up in the middle. So,
And look, at the end of the day, if somebody came knocking on my door in 2010 and said, "Hey, I got an idea. I'm going to start a printing company
yeah.
and I think I'll do awesome." Right off the bat, I would have massive reservations because you're telling me I want to go into a highly commoditized space where everybody's trying to compete on price
hmm
and, be widely successful. And so the mountain that you had to climb to get where you're at now is no small feat.
Yeah.
So,
I'm used to being mocked with most things I do. I think it's a good sign for entrepreneurs. People aren't making fun of you and calling you crazy or, well, stupid. Crazy is probably a nicer thing to say than stupid, but if they're not calling you one of those two things, then I don't know. There's no chance of incredible results. Pretty much all the things. When we started Sticker Mule, some of my best friends were like, what is wrong with you? The boxing that you brought up just started recently. I got called crazy and crazy for that, but that's gone well in 4-0. Two
good for
professional
you.
fights, all knockouts. And then the latest Stimulus, which is our attempt to fix social media. Obviously, we got called crazy and other things for trying to do that as well.
It's funny. Some of the most successful entrepreneurs that I've ever met in this world have said if people aren't calling you crazy,
Uh-huh.
then you haven't pushed it far enough.
Yep. Yeah. But that is a massive accomplishment for us. We're a fully integrated manufacturer of poly mailers. We actually design the machines that they're made on, which is
Oh,
very
wow.
unique. Yeah. And you have version 1 mailer, which is not edge to edge printing. Version 2 mailer, because we build our own machines, we're able to do edge to edge printing front, side, and back now, which is we're the only people that can do that.
So you're telling me I need to place another order?
Yeah, place an upgrade order. Don't do a reorder. Submit your artwork from scratch, and we'll do full coverage printing front, side, and back, edge to edge. You won't have that white border anymore. So when we started, we were the first ones doing full color printing with the white border.
Let's talk a little bit about some of the marketing strategies that you've used.
Mm-hmm.
So, what's the most successful marketing strategy you've used to date?
As much as I say you got to be different, I think to one extent, like one reason why we're different is I'm a big believer in common sense and just doing things that work. So if you look at marketing, I tell everyone, it's sort of common now, sort of marketing 101, but you got different channels on the internet that you look at to build your marketing. Like very early on, I'll take a step back. When I started Sticker Mule and we started growing, I tried to I was like, how do you determine growth? Like what determines growth? Like what happens? I realized like very quickly, it's just three components. It's how many people come to your website every day? How effective are you at converting them into customers? And what's the average amount of spend per one of those customers? You multiply those three numbers together and you get your revenue. And for us, the third one's, very hard to do because the third one gets into things we don't like doing, which is pure manipulation. So we just focused on, 1 and 2, which is increasing traffic and getting better at converting that traffic into customers by making the website easier to use. Traffic is all about marketing channels. You have a few big ones. You have your SEO channel on the internet. You have a few big ones, right? Organic traffic, SEO, email traffic, paid traffic through Google Ads, people coming directly to the website via word of mouth, and then referral traffic from other websites. But the big three or big four are really email, SEO, paid traffic, and people coming directly because they're familiar with your brand. So that's where most of our energy goes. And if you break down how we do marketing, it's a lot of common sense. There's no tricky about it.
Now, I would have guessed that you would have said social media. I mean, Sticker
Yeah.
Mule just on Twitter alone
Yeah.
has 172,000 followers, which for a company itself
Uh-huh.
to have 172,000 followers, that's significant.
We were anti-social media. We didn't use Twitter. We didn't really use any of that stuff. But everyone keeps talking about it, right? You got to do social media. You got to do social media. You got to do social media. So really, only 4 years ago did we start doing social media. And as soon as I like if you're going to do something, I like to do it big and succeed. So we were screwing around on Twitter. We had 30,000 followers, probably most of them fake. Who knows? Because a lot of people don't even engage you. But anyways, I said I don't think Twitter's worth anything unless you get 1 million followers. And so I set a goal for us to get 1 million followers, and we put a strategy in place, and we started growing very quickly. We were growing 30,000 followers a month. We got up to almost 200,000 followers. We're at about 180,000 right now. We grew very quickly from 30,000 followers to 200,000 followers. And I didn't realize, I wasn't really sure because Twitter used to not disclose impression data per tweet, and now they do. So they show you, how many impressions every tweet is getting. But at the time, we were probably a top 1% account. We were getting 500,000 to 1 million impressions per tweet.
Wow.
And now we get far less. But through that process, we saw very little converted traffic coming from Twitter, despite the amazing intention on there. We saw very little revenue directly attributed to Twitter. And we also saw firsthand, I saw firsthand, the amount of negativity built into Twitter as a platform. So when you start using Twitter and you say to yourself, I want to have 1 million followers, you realize like Twitter's a game. And in order to get 1 million followers, you got to learn how to play the game really well. And it's like, if you want to succeed at the game, you got to understand how the game works.
Yeah.
And what are the winning players doing? And I realized very quickly, like the winning players on Twitter were by and large being provocative because that's what the game wanted them to do in order to get attention. You naturally get pulled into being provocative on Twitter, right? Because it's like you're playing the game, you're seeing people winning, and you want to copy winning strategies. Also, I think once we saw the negativity built into Twitter, we just got disenfranchised. We didn't feel comfortable, using it. So we sort of laid off the gas in our account to diminish the popularity. If you look at our tweets now, we get like maybe 10,000 impressions per tweet versus the 500,000 to 1 million. And now that they'd exposed the data, you can see 500,000 to 1 million impressions per tweet is really almost no one's doing that. Even some popular influencers are getting like 100,000 impressions per tweet. Twitter's since been acquired by Elon Musk, which we didn't see coming. It's an interesting plot twist.
Well, I noticed that there's more recent tweets, so to speak. So I'm guessing that in addition to building stimulus, I mean, social media, the benefit is being everywhere, right?
Yep.
So it looks like the activity has started to go back up again on Twitter.
We started messing around with it again. I will say, like we started running Twitter ads just out of curiosity to see if they're starting to perform better. Like all the advertisers left Twitter, so cost of running ads declined, and we've had very good success running Twitter ads. And it's a very small sliver of our revenue. It's responsible for probably, I don't know, to 1% of revenue, something insignificant. You have to figure out how to get the ad spend high in order to get, make a lot of money. And so we get a good return, but the ad spend is relatively small.
Got it. So you talked about getting traffic, and you mentioned SEO and PPC and a few of those other things. But on social, is Twitter the only social media that you've ultimately leaned in on other than now stimulus, or did you really try to build out your Instagram and Facebook?
We're fairly popular on Instagram, 500,000. I could tell you that like social media in total across all networks is like probably 3% of revenue for us. It's almost, so I don't really think about it. I only thought about Twitter from the perspective of one, I didn't want us wasting time on it unless we were being successful, and because it's very time consuming to write tweets. Especially, interesting ones. I didn't want us to waste time on it unless we were being successful. And then once we started wasting time on it, I just became concerned as a member of humanity about the negative effects of Twitter. And that led us to wanting to start a different network. So I sort of became a student of Twitter, very, academically interested in Twitter. So I'm very familiar with Twitter and the downsides of Twitter, or, or what I view as the downside of Twitter, but less so with the other networks because none of the networks really contribute to our sales. And that's, maybe a little counterintuitive thinking. Say, like, you got to be different. Everyone is like so concerned about social media.
Yeah, I have noticed that, both as a customer, your support is fantastic, but that's one of the things that I have noticed that several people have commented about your client support is, really, really tremendous. And that goes beyond just the three elements that you talked about. It's, okay, now that they purchase, especially where so many of your marketing efforts are driven towards like, hey, for $9, you can get 50 mailers or just to get them used to the buying habit or experiencing some of the product itself. So when you have great customer service right in the beginning, it's now you got them hooked.
Yeah. So, Startup 101, I think people within the startup community, somewhat widespread knowledge, but you don't want to step on the gas until you have a product, a service people really love. So, or at least we still are constantly investing in making Sticker Mule a very well-loved service and exciting people. But, the basic formula for growing your company is build a service people love so that when you do market it and people come to you, they like it and they tell other people about it. So if you can do that, you can increase your marketing spend. I think where a lot of companies struggle and they can't imitate our model. Like we're very protected because, we're very protected because people can't match our investment in marketing because they don't match our experience. So if somebody else was to spend a similar amount on marketing as we do, they wouldn't generate the same amount of happiness and enthusiasm for their service, and the spend wouldn't make sense financially. So our basic model is keep trying to make the service better and better so that we can justify a larger marketing budget than others do. And at the same time, we're not so concerned, and you have to worry about money. But I would say another fundamental aspect of business building is you have to worry about money, but you can't be in it for the money. So we're in it for the fun of creating a company that people like working at and for the fun of doing exciting innovation for the world and for our customers, which is why we're messing around with social network. We've just built a service which is doing great, a shipping service. So we just launched that last week and it's blowing up already. But we built a service where small businesses that don't have access to low rates, like we have great rates with UPS. So we're able to negotiate our rates with UPS and then offer those to other people. So you can come to stickermule.com/ship and you can ship your packages with a very simple, fast way to ship. So we save you time in shipping and we also pass along our rates. And so at this point, very excited about, using our strength to innovate in ways that are beneficial for society. And I think that's what's one for us, but that's that's another key to success for people is you have to make money. You can't exist without making money. That can't be why you're doing it. The money's a tool. Has to just be a tool to do cool things. You can enjoy it, but you have to be innovation focused, and you have to be innovation focused in a way that people like that the world wants, right? Not you can't just be, I think I made this cool thing, but nobody wants it, and you're forcing it on the world.
So I run this coaching program for 7 and 8 figure entrepreneurs called our board of directors, and in our meeting today, one of the things that we talked about is the difference between young companies and sustainable companies. And we mentioned how young companies, they're very product focused. Even if you have a service, you're more concerned about the product that you're actually delivering. It's all about product. But when you go to this sustainable type of model where it's sustainable growth, ever increasing, revenues month after month after month, you go from product focused to service focused. It's all about the service that you're providing people. And even if you're selling stickers, you're really still in the service business because it's about that experience that you're delivering and, empowering the customer in so many different ways from from when they place the order to how they submit their logos to how they approve the design and all that other jazz. Ultimately, we're in the service-based business, and so it's just a little bit of a shift in mindset there.
Yep, and we're right. This is unbelievable. We've been around for 13 years, and you would think we'd be done with our roadmap, but we're still thinking about ways to improve the service. There's always something we can do. Everyone can do. It's incredible.
Now, I've made reference that AI is interrupting every business and disrupting every business to some extent. So how are you looking at integrating AI within Sticker Mule right now?
That's a good question. The word AI means a lot of different things. It used to just be called machine learning or whatever, but we've for a while been working on backend systems to automate as much of our processes as possible using technology, using code. So whether you want to call that machine learning or AI or whatnot, we have to process a ton of images. We have a ton of software that intelligently helps us process the images. We have software that helps us intelligently route the orders, software that helps us intelligently set up the orders. We do very aggressive promotions that bring in an incredible amount of orders. And that's only possible because there's software systems intelligently helping us process those orders. If you had to scale our business using a purely human-based system, which is the way, like when we first started the Sticker Mill, an order would come in and we would download it off the internet onto a hard drive and we'd walk it over to the machine and load the order on the machine, set up the order on the machine, and then tell the machine to print the order. Well, we're not doing that anymore. But yeah, so whether you want to call any of that AI, I don't know. But we have a small team looking, that's constantly thinking about how to use machine learning to make our backend service better. So we were lucky to be a little bit ahead of the curve, but yeah, with the recent breakthroughs, I think there's going to be more and more that can be done. And I agree with, some of the people expressing concerns about AI I think humanity should be careful about not doing too many crazy things with it, but as a business, you should think about what can. I have a few different views on it. I feel like, oh, AI is going to take all jobs. Well, AI is just a form of automation. Every machine was a form of automation. I've been in manufacturing for quite a while, so faster machines always come into existence. Well, what happens when a machine gets faster, right? You have less of a need for labor. Generally, it was mechanical efficiencies, and now it's software-based efficiency. And software's been around for quite a while now. And before there was AI, software was very focused on efficiency. Before it was intelligent machine learning-based efficiency. So yeah, I think every business should be thinking about building efficiencies into their processes, whether it's through process improvements, software improvements, or whatever AI.
Right. One of the things that you said that I think it's also important to pick out is that, in the very beginning, you downloaded everything to a hard drive, then you walked over and you got it printed. And a lot of times as business owners, we want that scale. So we scale before we're ready. And so all scaling does is it amplifies things. So if you haven't figured out a way to do things in a manual fashion that's going to be efficient, or that's going to be profitable, or that's going to generate the response that you want, whatnot, but then you go right away to automate and create systems, and so be it. But you first have to figure out something that works.
100%. You want to automate your biggest pain points, and you don't want to automate prematurely. Basically, just like you're saying, we like to push with manual processes as far as they'll go until it becomes so painful that you're sure now that you have a solution that makes sense and it's worth it. If you're getting a situation where automation might save you 20 jobs, it's a lot more exciting.
Yeah.
And then luckily for us, we've always been on a growth trajectory. So automation's never caused a decline in headcount. It's only helped us grow more comfortably.
And eliminating some of the variation.
Yeah, taking away the biggest pain points, so that people can take a breath and not be and so on and so forth.
And sometimes it's a matter of when companies aren't growing fast enough, or maybe, they found a little bit of stagnant growth. Sometimes, and many times people don't like to hear this, we'll take them back and we'll go, I need you to do the stuff that's not scalable right now. And they're like, wait, what? And it's like, no. We're going to get you back on the growth tracks, but the way you're going to do it right now is to start doing things that aren't scalable. Because we need to start collecting that data, what's working, what's not working. And sometimes, and not all the time, the root cause of the problem has to do with the fact that they've automated so much, they're not seeing the problems that are existing.
No.
So just to back up for a minute, I'm just kind of curious. Sticker Mule, how'd you come up with the name?
We just moved quickly and we don't have time to think. And that was a big thing behind it. We decided we wanted to make a custom printing company. My co-founder is in his 80s now. I think he's 85. We started the company, he was in his 70s. He never used a computer. A lot of people BS and they don't actually do it. And I BS'd him about my idea. And he said, what the heck do people even do on the internet? Word for word. And I showed him this company called Zazzle. He's like, okay, great. I'm going home. And he came and saw me the next day and he said, Anthony, I thought about what you said last night and I want to start an internet company with you. And I said, maybe in a few years. And, word for word, he said, no, you showed me the internet last night. And he goes, you're already 5 years too late. You got to start right now. I'll fund it. But you got to start. You got to tell me you want to do it. We just bat around words. And it was hard to find domains at the time, right? So humor, I like humor. So I was like, oh, animals are funny. Something plus animal. So we originally named the company Print Bear. We didn't know what we were going to sell. And then, we ended up calling it Sticker Mule. The truth is we ended up getting our developers a few weeks later and we called them. They had a phone number on the website and the founder of the company answered. Ended up being a pretty big startup that got acquired for a sizable amount of money. But at the time they were just getting started and the founder answered and he said, what do you guys want to do? What are you guys calling about? So we want to start an internet manufacturing company. So what do you want to make? So we haven't really thought about it yet. We want your help to build it. And he said, well, what's your budget? And my co-founder said, we've never done anything on the internet before. We'd love your advice as to what we should expect. And the guy goes, a lot of weirdos call me and you guys sound like a bunch of weirdos. I don't think I want to work with you. And
did you say thank you? If you told me I was normal, I might hang up the phone on you.
Yeah, exactly. I was like, I just go, well, we could spend $100,000. And he goes, all right, I can see you next week. So we went and saw him. And he said, I really like you guys, I'll be honest. But he goes, I can get started on this right away. But you need to pick a product. So we went back and we were just like, stickers? Mule? I don't know. We said Sticker Mule. I went and called this kid in my hometown that was a designer. And I said, hey, me and Tom are starting a company together and we want your help to design the website. We can't pay you, but if it goes well, we'll take care of you. And he said, oh, geez, he goes, I've always wanted to design a website. I've never done that before. I'd love to help. So he said, well, it's going to be called Sticker Mule. And he said, all right, give me a little time. So he designed a website in a week, and it looks almost exactly like it looks like today. They say, good design is long lasting. So I guess, we handed it off to developers, and to their credit, I'll never forget, they only charged us 50 grand to build the site, even though I said I could spend 100, which is pretty upstanding person, but they really liked us, and they ended up working with some huge clients down the road and whatever, turning into their own startup and getting VC funding and selling First Data, which is the largest payment processor on the internet. And then a number of their team members came and joined us and built out our tech team for us. My co-founder helped me out a lot in life and in business. And he would say, if you do more things, you can make more mistakes. So, we try to do as many things as possible, as quickly as possible without, being too stressed out.
Well, over the years, one of the things that I've noticed, particularly, I have the unique advantage of working with hundreds of, 7, 8, even a few 9-figure entrepreneurs. And when I started my career back in 2010, I always thought it was about the strategy.
Mm-hmm.
I put so much weight on the strategy and making sure that the strategy was right and so forth. And then over the years, I noticed a trend between the clients that performed the best and the clients that performed not as well. And the ones that performed the best were the ones that took fast and perfect action.
Mm-hmm.
And they just took action. Then they quickly found out what worked and what didn't work, made adjustments, and continued to operate that way. The clients that took longer or didn't get as much performance, those are the ones that said, okay, we're going to launch this, but first we're going to make sure we understand everything that has to do with this strategy. And then we're going to make it perfect, and we're going to keep coming back to you and asking you for advice, and we're going to keep coming back. We're going to keep coming back. And they just kept coming back. He said, perfect, perfect, perfect. But by the time they made it perfect, they may have taken them 3 months to lay something out that was perfect. Whereas somebody else within, that one guy, it was 24 hours. 24 hours, just immediately put it to action. When I looked at it, I was like, oh my God. I mean, there were so many stakes all the way throughout, but he performed the best because he immediately was focused in on the data. What's working, what's not working, let's make a change.
Moving quickly. A lot of credit to my co-founder. I don't think I'd be here without him. And, he only worked for a short while, and then we're still friends. He retired pretty quickly, but, when you speak of moving quickly, he was 72, 73 years old, never used the internet, never saw the internet for the first time. We decided to fund what ended up becoming Sticker Mule within hours. We're grown, but we got no strategy. I said, we got a strategy. So, well, what is it? I said, I don't know, get better every day. And they said, that's not a strategy. I said, yeah. I said, have you worked for other companies? And they said, yeah, I work for other companies. I said, if you compare Sticker Mule to the other places where you work, I said, everyone that works here comes to work every day, and all we're thinking about doing is making the company better. And we take very quick actions. We're always doing something. In a small way, everyone's making the company better. In some small way every day. There's no wasted time on dysfunction or nonsense. And generally, in large companies in particular, there's a lot of dysfunction. They don't move. They're just stagnant. It's just people come to work and they do processes every day, but they don't do process improvement. They're just, I do my job. But, unless the majority of our organization comes in every day and they're not doing routine processes. They're working on process improvement, improving the company, making it a more pleasant place to work, a better place to work, or making it better for our customers, or working on a new service that's going to help in some way or another.
Got it. Awesome. One of the things that I've heard you say when we look back at our conversation so far, speed is a big part. Speed. Thinking out of the box and being okay with being a little bit crazy. In fact, leaning in on crazy. If everybody's doing it, then maybe we got to take a different direction. And that also helped to continue to fuel that growth. But if there was one thing that you've learned since 2010 that you could share with our listeners who want to know your biggest, best tip for taking their company beyond 7 figures, what would be that number one best tip for you?
Yeah. In pure marketing tactics, I think people underestimate the value of email marketing. I see a ton of people underestimate. They think it's just something that they do, but they don't put a lot of effort into it. And they put tremendous effort into social. Everyone's putting massive effort into social. So I think my, number one tip is just because the world's talking about something, don't do it. Look at basics. And I still think email is going to continue to be a strong way to build your company. It's really neglected by most companies. Almost everyone I know does pretty poor email marketing complaints. I was like, I don't know if I should say that. But yeah, I couldn't think of another word. They say it, but they don't do the best. It doesn't matter who it is, whether it's a big Fortune 500 or a big, massive e-commerce realtor. I mean, there's
Yeah.
huge brands on Twitter that put tremendous thought into their posts because sometimes they attach videos that are really well done. Sometimes you
Yeah.
look and it's like, we have our competitors, they're on social media every day and they get like 12 views per, I shouldn't say it, but they get like 12 views per post. I'm like, I want to call them, usually just stop. Why even
Yeah.
do it?
Talking about email though, if you've got a good email open rate,
Mhm.
this is, across the board, for a lot of companies, if they can get into the double digits, if they get a 12% open rate,
Mhm.
now that's considered good, which means they're missing 88% of the total customer base.
Mhm.
So how do you approach that? How do you approach both increasing your open rate, but also reaching the 88% of the people that aren't even seeing the email to
Gotcha.
begin with?
So, like, one fundamental principle is we think time's finite. We like to be very respectful. We like to save time as much as possible. We like to be save time within Sticker Mule. We like to help people save time. And a lot of email marketers are very, disrespectful of the time of other people. So they send too many emails. They send nonsensical emails. They send overly cluttered emails. And, my biggest tip is don't waste people's time. Give them useful emails and don't in a limited number. You can send more if they're all great, but don't send crap to people. Don't send cluttered nonsense to people. Try to send useful emails that can be understood quickly. And if you do that, you're going to get a better open rate. People, in fact, if you go on social, people are often talking about how much they like our emails.
Awesome.
So, yeah, that's like be respectful of people's time, both in the sense of don't inundate them with too many emails. And when you do send something that, like, if you look at it yourself, can I understand this thing quickly? You get some of these emails and it's like, our like for a large retailer, like our 70 best offers of the day, and it's just like endless junk. And you're
Right.
like, people look at it like, I don't know, what is this? Or words, we write like 20 words, 30 words in email. People write like they write these 6-page long things, and it's like just keeps going on and on and on. And I'm like, this is so disrespectful. I hate now the internet, even just like the websites in general. You go on them, and it's like I try to look up a recipe sometimes, and it's just like endless words. And they just keep trying to keep you on the page for as long as humanly possible. I'm not a fan of that. I think even if that trick works once, maybe that trick, really wordy, lengthy, manipulative emails work.
Sure.
They just want you to get to the point. This week we're doing a sale on magnets. Get 29 magnets, get 50 magnets for $29. People can see it, they know what it is, and they know when they get our emails, that's what it's going to be every time. We're never going to waste their time, and it's generally going to be something that they're interested in.
Awesome. Well, I know we're pushing up against the clock. Anthony, if
Sure.
people want to learn more about you and the work that you're doing, what's the best way for them to connect with
Well, we just launched our own social network, which is, our attempt to fix social media. We didn't get to talk about that, but it's our attempt to fix social media at stimulus.com and stimulus.com/Anthony. That's the only social network I'm personally active on. It's the first social network that's being built from a business perspective, where we think that a fundamental need is helping people make money. So it's designed both from a marketing perspective to help brands that want to come on there and market their brand more effectively, and help people on there earn money as well, because the primary mechanism of getting attention on stimulus is integrated giveaways. So go on there, check me out, and check out that network.
Awesome. So that is
.com.
stimulus.com/Anthony.
Yep, perfect.
So check it out. New social media network, like designed to help creators make money. But then we've spent a lot of time also talking about Sticker Mule. Really tremendous company, awesome customer service. I do encourage you to check out Sticker Mule as well. So that wraps up today's episode of the Beyond Seven Figures podcast. As a reminder, for more tips, strategies, and information for taking your company beyond seven figures, also check us out at predictableprofits.com. Again, that's predictableprofits.com. This is Charles Cadet with my new friend Anthony Constantino, and I will see you in another episode.